Hey everyone, here we are for Worthiness Matters, day number 28 of our joy based spirituality series, which we have 2 days left. And I wanted to talk today about deep practice and self realization or individuation or self actualization, whatever you want to call it. I've been reading a book lately called The Talent Code. I've been listening to it on Audible. And in this book, the author is talking, he's like a researcher of talent hotbeds and how they come out of nowhere from all these obscure places in the world throughout history, groups of soccer players or artists or poets or different things like that. And he talks about how one thing in common is that in each of these talent hotbeds, people were encouraged um encouraged to play, encouraged to make mistakes, encouraged to keep showing up. And so if they were falling in love with what they were doing, they just kept going and they just kept getting better because they wanted to get better, and they had other people to play with while they were going. And that's the key to really a joyful life. That is the key to a joyful life. Do what you love doing among other people who are doing what they love doing, and the things that you have in common do together. I mean, I can't, it doesn't even get any better than that on planet Earth, I don't think. And I was thinking about, so much of our conversation, which is so important, is having awareness of trauma and healing from trauma. Well, the thing that trauma prevents us from is self-actualization. If the trauma is stuck, the thing about the reason you want to heal it is because you want to self-actualize, you want to individuate, you want to become your own person in a culture that wants you to be everything that it wants you to be. And so it takes a lot of courage and a lot of will and a lot of pure desire to say, this is who I want to be. And I'm not just against that, but here's what I am for. And I want to live from my heart freely among others who are doing the same. And what I wanted to bring to the table here that I thought was really cool, especially for those of you who've been with joy based living for a while and you've been doing the 12 practices and you're familiar with the sanctuary ebook, and you've read the glossary and you have an understanding of trauma awareness. And so releasing, so when you're having an emotional flashback, because most people don't even know what those are, but most people experience them. Like if you dissociate, if you're like having a moment of like you're supposed to be present but you're not, and it happens frequently and you're like somewhere else, that's called dissociation. That's a version of an emotional flashback. Or if you go into deep rage out of nowhere, that's another version of an emotional flashback. And so even if you're not the one having these experiences, if you have friends or loved ones who are, if you understand what's going, so if somebody goes, oh yeah, I must be getting older, it's memory loss because I'm getting older, a lot of times that's a bunch of horse ninny. What that really is the person is having a lot of trauma that's not resolved, and it's clogging up their ability to remember things because they're just stuck in the past. So what you want to do, what I wanted you to realize is that if you've been doing the 12 practices, or if you haven't, you want to get started, I'm going to give you more reasons to do it. The 12 practices or the sanctuary ebook, or the planner, the JBL planner for daily reflection. Each one of those, especially the 12 practices and especially the planner, the 12 practices is about the present tense and embodiment and emotional literacy and honor. And the planner is about where you are in the present and how you're going to emerge today and today and today and in this moment again and again and again. And what I was realizing, the connection with what we're doing and the study of the talent code and the talent hotbeds, is that the thing that the individuals had in common in these talent hotbeds is what this author calls, and I think it came from a different author, but he calls this um, deep practice. And deep practice is when you are having a moment of not just like, okay, I want to remember that person's name, but I'm going to remember that person's name now. And you like maybe make a picture memory of them, or in the days when you would remember a phone number, there would be a moment of, okay, I'm getting it now. I'm getting it now. I keep going like this, like it's going deeper, like it's sinking in now. I'm grasping this. Or if you're learning a new word, whatever it is, when you're learning something new, there comes a moment of, okay, I'm going to get this now. I remember learning to dive and for my pool side, and when I was a little girl and having a really hard time. And then there's that moment of, I'm going to do this. There's a deep learning involved. And even as you go, not just as a beginner, but even as you go, oh, I'm going to take this part deeper. Um, the feeling of honor or the feeling of embodiment or whatever it is you're doing. What I realized was that everything we've been doing in the last few years, especially with the 12 practices, we have been in deep practice. And so one of the greatest compliments came to me and to us indirectly yesterday when one of our members posted a few snapshots of a book that she's reading. And it was about, if you were raised by immature parents, and then it was about how to recognize maturity in people and how to make sure you're hanging around mature people and how to make sure that you're being one. And a lot of it was about people who face reality and people who are consistent and people who are reliable, um not just in their actions, but in their words, in their emotions, that you feel a sense of congruency when you're listening to them or when you're being with them, that you're not like in cognitive dissonance when you're with them. And it went on this list, and I'm like, oh, and we do that, and we do that, and we do that, and we do that, and we do that too. And we are those people. We're growing into those people more and more and more. And that just really pleased me to know that. And so, if you have engaged any of the practices at all, I just want to give you a thumbs up and a high five. And if you've screwed up 5,000 times, but stood up again 5,001 times, good for you. Keep going. We're doing this together. We're creating a community of people who really believe in coming from the heart and really believe in making that into a lifestyle and into hanging out with other people who are doing that. And so the deep practice for us, because each one of us has our own skills, our own desires, our own futures, our own passions, is that what you want to lean into is feeling that you belong in the world as somebody who is coming from your heart, and that you have the right to make as many mistakes as you want, and your effort really does count for something, and there are people who are cheering you on just for being you in the world at in full. And when you do that in full, you become somebody who can then help others and can shine a light for others along the way, for them to do that as well. My wish for you is self-actualization in a way that brings you so much joy that you become a magnet for other people who feed that joy and who you feed their joy. Um, and one of the things that you can visualize is, and you can use this as a deep practice. This can be a deep practice. I don't think I've actually mentioned this anywhere before, is visualizing yourself from your heart, visualizing yourself using your mind from your heart, from a place of feeling and fullness and embodiment and gratitude, visualizing yourself living a self actualized life. And maybe if you can't visualize it, feel what you imagine it will feel like: freedom, joy, well being, confidence, clarity, belonging, amazement, magic, openness, and love. And add whatever words you want to add to that mix, and notice what you feel in your body each time you visualize living a self actualized life. I'm going to close with this. if those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I love the Statue of Liberty and that I only learned a couple years ago that the Statue of Liberty has shackles on on her right foot, and that she's stepping away and the shackles are breaking. If you've experienced trauma in your past and you're like having some stuckness about that, self-actualization for you isn't just breaking the shackles, but it's taking flight. Imagine if the Statue of Liberty were to soar. Um, don't get stuck in the idea of the Statue of Liberty and, oh, we're here to welcome the poor. Oh, that's a bunch of horse ninny again. We're here to welcome people who are full of vision and possibility, who want to take flight and be the best that they absolutely can be, not just breaking the shackles, but going well beyond that and living with among other people who are doing the same, being in flight together. And that's what we're about. That's what we're doing. So the deep practice is worth it. It's paying off. And I want it to pay off for you as well. If you're doing a deep practice in your life to move yourself toward self actualization, let us know what it is. Share in the comments. The more you know other people who are doing it and who are succeeding or who are doing it and who are like, in the game, um, the more you'll feel inspired as well. So thank you for being here with me on this joy-based living journey. We have 2 more live streams to go for this month, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.